So, I don't know about you, but I love video games. I think they're fun. I think they're a good... there are two things that I think are good hobbies that get shit on constantly. One is video games. The other is fan fiction. But fan fiction, I can sort of understand why some people hate it. Because, there's a lot of gay stuff out there. And I don't mean like in the homosexual kind of gay either. Although there is some homosexual stuff on there as well that sometimes makes no sense story-wise. And sometimes it's just poorly prepared. Like, I was guilty of that back when I started making stories. I still am guilty of that whenever I try to make original stories now, where I try to plan things out, but I suck at planning sometimes. Like, I'm almost as bad as Jar Jar Abrams. Other times I just don't know what to do half the time. But anyway, I brought this up because I thought I'd get on a soapbox about something, which is kind of why the background or the image you're seeing is what it is. And one of the things that kind of annoys me about video games now is it feels like they're just cranking them out. Like, this is a problem I think some people had with Call of Duty, was every year they would release a new Call of Duty. Every year. Every damn year, it felt like they were releasing a new Call of Duty or an Assassin's Creed. Like Assassin's Creed, they started doing that not after 2. Well, it might have been after 2. Or was it Brotherhood or Revelation? It's hard to remember, but it felt like every year there was a new Assassin's Creed game coming out. Like, I was in high school. Like, I was a freshman when I heard about 2. And back then, that was when games, they took time to develop. It took more than a year to make one. And I know this kind of comes off as back in my day. But yeah, no, it kind of feels like they're just crapping out schlock and not putting enough time to make it good quality. Like, it's gotten so bad that they have to put patches in after they release the games. Like, that was a problem I had with Cyberpunk, was... Well, it was kind of unplayable on certain missions. Like the mission where you were going to do the ceremony for Scorpion, or Scorpio, or whatever his name was. Yeah, it wouldn't let me drive, which still pisses me off, because I had to start over. And god dang it, that was infuriating. Like, I screamed so loud with that thing. Like, I already had to see Jackie die once, now I had to see him die a second time. Well, technically 3. Maybe more, hard to remember. But, now it's just like, there's not enough time to put care and love into the product. Well, there's that and the fact now you have assholes like Neil Druckmann in the game industry who are just wanting to put propaganda out. It's like, the future of video games does not look bright. Like, it's gotten so bad I don't even buy new games now. I just buy old ones. Like The Darkness. I'd buy Weapons of Fate, but it's not available. Which sucks because that one was fun. It's schlocky, but it's fun schlock. I've had to get games like the Fallout games before they made Fallout 76, and it became apparent more than ever that Bethesda is run by a bunch of assholes who don't know what they're doing. And are kind of out of touch with reality. I mean, I kind of had some inclination that Bethesda were pieces of shit before that, but... Because, like, what would happen with Prey 2? I heard about that, but I was willing to give them a second chance. And they burned that bridge so fast. Actually, it's not that they burned the bridge. It's more like they threw gasoline on it, set it on fire, watched it burn to the ground, then pissed on it. So yeah, they burned and pissed on the bridge with me. Or their bridge with me, and... Yeah, it's kind of looking like games are on the down slow now. Either that or they just can't make original ideas. They have to... And everything has to be part of a franchise now. It can't just be a new thing is made. That was kind of one of the reasons why they made, what was it? Dishonored, the first one, before they went to Anita Sarkeesian for gender representation advice. Like, as soon as they did that, I was like, well, after I heard they did, I was like, yeah, they're fucked. There's no going back for them. These people are idiots. And then they made them make Prey the remake. Just when I thought I couldn't hate Bethesda anymore, first they kill a game I was looking forward to, then they reboot the franchise, so now I highly doubt they're ever going to go back to Prey 2. And it's just... Like, fuck Bethesda, fuck Todd Howard, fuck Pete Hines. especially Pete Hines, because his excuse for why they canceled Prey 2 was it didn't meet our quality standards. I'll repeat that in case you think you had a stroke. They said it didn't meet their quality standards. Bethesda. Quality standards. Those are two words that do not belong together. They do not belong in the same sentence. Bethesda, whenever they release a good game, it's because another company made it. And they were just distributing it, or they contracted a subsidiary to do it. Take New Vegas, for example. That is one of my favorite games to play of all time. Like, that came out when I was in high school, but I didn't play it years later until I was in college. I mean, I'm still in college now, but I think I got it in 2016, 2017. No, definitely 2016. And it was fun as hell. And you can kind of tell this was made by people who had a passion for what they were doing, because there was a lot in there that was good. It had lots of good references, lots of good stuff, really, that I just loved to read about and see in the game. My favorite part of that was what was the name of the Blade Runner gun. I loved that gun. Used it throughout the game after I got it. There was no other gun I wanted to use, except for maybe the Winchester-looking rifle. Anyway, problem is, there isn't a lot of love put into games now. It's all about put out a product, make lots of money. Anyone who doesn't like it, just call them names. I may be taking some liberties in that accusation, but that's more or less my point. It's just like, can we not just enjoy a good game anymore? Like, take The Last of Us Part 2. I hated the first Last of Us game. I'm not going to lie, I could not finish it. It bored me to tears. As soon as I got out of Boston, I quit. I ditched. Ding dong ditched. I bailed. And I forgot to go back to it. That's how boring it was for me. Like, people get surprised when I tell them, they're like, you didn't finish The Last of Us 1? Or you didn't like it? No, I didn't like it. It sucked. It was boring. It was schlocky, is my point. I mean, it sounds like it had a good story, but... And then with The Last of Us Part 2... Oh, man, what they did in that game was a blasphemy as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't even like the game, but even I know Joel is like this, like one of those iconic fatherly figures in video games. Like, even I know Joel has that kind of status, and even I found what they did to him abhorrent. And they did it for propagandist reasons and gender representation, and to do a message of everyone sucks. This is kind of why I hate postmodernism. There's always a deconstruction. Nothing can be simple anymore. Always has to be some deeper meaning. Like, there was a time when postmodernism had its merits, but now it's like Old Yeller. It needs to be taken out back and put out of its misery. Like, whatever new style or trope or whatever comes up next, it cannot be worse than postmodernism. Like, modernism was okay. Postmodernism was dick cancer. Or ass cancer. And whoever thought of it should, frankly, be sucker punched. And no, I'm not talking about the game company. And yeah, it's just, there was a time when video games were more fun. They are still fun to a certain extent. I remember, like, last year they made a bunch of games I liked. They made Doom Eternal. That was probably my favorite game of that year. It was probably the only highlight of 2020. Because a lot of shit happened in 2020. Like, 2020 was like it kept smacking you upside the head. Just got worse. Oh, beer bug. Oh, your country's going to be run by a ghoul. Oh, anyone who talks about these leaks about The Last of Us Part 2, they get a copyright strike. Oh, this game, the characters you love from the previous one, one's going to die, one's going to be torn down multiple times. And it's just like, how many hits can you take before you say enough is enough? Actually, I think that's the main point in video games. Stop giving money to people who make these shitty games now, who just want to make another entry in a series instead of letting a series die with dignity. Like, they're doing to these game franchises what they did to Stan Lee. Like, Stan Lee, he wasn't even allowed to die with dignity. He's still not allowed to die with dignity. He's used to promote products now with his Twitter account. Like, there's certain franchises that died on a high note, or at least a passable high note, or a note that was not undignified. Take the Legacy of Kain games. It ended on a cliffhanger. There was more planned, but the company decided to cancel it. Further proof that studios need to be told to fuck off and need to burn to the ground because they have too much influence in video games now. Like, that's another problem. Like, in video games and movies, these studios, they have way too much power. They have too much say, and they reward idiots for their idiocracy or idiocy. They reward people like Neil Druckmann, who said it was his intention to piss people off with the game. He did that intentionally. Plus, he looks like a soy boy. Then again, most people in the entertainment industry do, so I guess I shouldn't be really that judgy. And yeah, holy hell, is this kind of hard to articulate, but... And then they bitch about games made in the East where they are actually fun. Or whenever there is a fun game made in the West, the journalists try to tear it down left and right. Like Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I don't play a PlayStation anymore, but that game makes me wish I could play it. Got it for Christmas, then I realized my sister has the PlayStation and I can no longer use it. And it's like... Fuck! Like, I know I use that word a lot, but fuckity fuck. And yeah, that's about all I can really say, I think. Is that, like, games have really gone downhill. They've lost their quality to a certain extent. Like, the graphics look amazing now, but the story is, like, low tier, like Twilight quality. And I know you're thinking, Nathan, that's a low blow. Yeah, that was kind of my point. It's basically like the time I heard someone say they prefer Resident Evil 6 or 7 to 8. Actually, I kind of thought that was funny. Like saying, like 6 is probably regarded as one of the worst Resident Evil games of all time. Resident Evil 8, he said, was worse, just because of reasons that I can't remember. And I just miss the days when games, they were made with a whole package, like with the PlayStation 2, like Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. Actually, I just miss Jak and Daxter. Those two were fun to listen to. And Sly Cooper, oh, he was fun. A shame that series ended on a cliffhanger and there was no resolving it. No idea why. I guess it didn't make enough money for the company. But, Yep. And then you had stuff like Bounty Hunter. That was fun but hard. Like, the PlayStation 2 games were really hard at times. Which I kind of miss. Like, games have gotten too easy now. Like, the only time a game gives me a challenge is if it's... Well, Devil May Cry is a good example. It gives me challenges. Like, I got Special Edition for Devil May Cry 4 recently. I can't beat all the secret missions. I'm left screaming a lot of F-bombs and tempted to use an N-word or two. I don't know why. It just randomly pops into my head. I'm like, say it. And I'm like, I can't. I already said that in high school. I'm not saying it again. And yeah, they're not as challenging as they used to be. Granted, I always play on easy mode, so that might have something to do with it. But even back then, if you did some on easy mode, there was still a challenge. And right now, there's not much of a challenge anymore. It's just gotten so docile and boring. And the stories aren't as engaging as they used to. Like, it used to be there were stories I gave a shit. There was a story I felt invested emotionally into the games, and I miss that feeling. I miss it so much that it's kind of sad. And it feels like there's a hole in my life now whenever I play a video game. Like, usually I'd wait until after I beat the game to have that feeling. Now it's in the middle of playing it. But, yeah, this is just a thought I had, and I wanted to have a soapbox video on YouTube, because I already have one on BitChute. I might as well have two on BitChute and one on YouTube. And, yeah, that's just some thoughts I had on the video game industry. Like, it is sad how they've declined so much. Like, when the Puritans come after it, I still defend it, but sometimes it feels like it's not even worth defending anymore. Like the old enemies of the gaming industry, they infiltrated it. They are gone. The new enemies infiltrated and destroyed it. They bastardized it. And they've made it into something I can't even recognize half the time. Like I hate to stay on the soapbox, but yeah, there's a quote from It's a Gundam I like to use sometimes. Well, not like to, but I've started remembering it recently, and it kind of seems true. Everything I love dies. And that can not be more true than with the video game industry now, with what they churn out. Like, the older stuff, it's fun, it's engaging. I know it's going to happen, but I still enjoy playing it. I still enjoy going back and just looking at the stuff that used to be. And that's on the Xbox. The stuff in the PlayStation I can't really get anymore. The only old PlayStation games I've gotten are the Soul Reaver and Bounty Hunter. And again, those back when I had the PlayStation. Like the older games, I feel kind of engaged. It's mostly member berries with those. Nostalgia. I'm reminded of a simpler time. A time when games made me feel something. Where I didn't feel empty inside while I played it. I didn't feel like I'd die inside after I finished the game. And yeah, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just my own personal hang-ups. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this. If you've noticed something like this, let me know in the comments. If I'm wrong, please let me know, because I want to be wrong on this. I really do. And, yeah, have a nice day, and remember the game was rigged from the start.